Hello. Today I wanted to try out my new nib unit in my Pilot Vanishing point. So my husband bought this for me for Valentine's Day a few months ago, and I love it. It's an incredible pen, and I got it with a fine nib. Let's see if I can show that to you. You may not be able to see it. It's really tiny. But I got it with a fine nib. And this is an 18 karat gold nib with rhodium plating. Just the color that comes with this. And I love it. It's great. But I think, lately I've been writing with larger nibs and I've been enjoying that. And so I wanted to get a medium nib unit for this so that I could enjoy writing with a larger nib, but also writing with this pen, which is incredible and beautiful. Look how sparkly and pretty it is. This pen, it's so gorgeous. It's twinkly. Okay. So I ordered this nib unit from Amazon, and it came from Gold Spot Pens, which I have heard of. And so I'm just going to open it up and ink it up and try it out. So it came like this. Thought that was a nice box. I don't know. There's nothing under here. So it's a nice box for a nib unit, right? And here it is. The nib unit was, I think, around $80. And it's because you're getting an 18 karat gold nib unit. And you're buying this whole piece. It's the converter and the nib all in one. So when you get a vanishing point, if you want a different nib unit, you're literally going to replace the whole thing. But it's really simple. You just unscrew it, remove it, put the new one in. You can see there's a little raised piece of metal there, and that's it. It's literally that simple, and there's your new nib. So I'm going to do a little bit of writing with the fine nib so that we have some comparison to the medium nib. The Vanishing Point is right around $150. This one was more expensive because it's got this finish to it. But essentially the pen is the same no matter what finish or color you get. It's incredible. It's a retractable fountain pen, and retractable pens are my favorite. It's super convenient to use. It has this really great satisfying click. And it's a Pilot, so you know it's going to be good. But they're very convenient to use. So let's say that you're not going to do any kind of a long writing session, but you're at work and you take a lot of notes, or you're at a meeting. You can't leave a fountain pen uncapped. You know, it's going to dry out, right? So this doesn't dry out. And I have a video on Vanishing Point, but just to show you, I think you can see there's a little window. When I push the button, the little window, or the little metal piece drops and the nib comes out. So it stays capped, and so it's ready to write. As long as it's inked up, it's ready to write, and you're not going to worry about it drying out. The other nice thing is when you're in a meeting or something like that, you don't have to worry about a cap rolling around. Because I don't know that most of the fountain pens I use, I do not post them when I write with them. So this is just super convenient. But you still get the fountain pen experience, and you still get to choose your ink. And that's one of the best parts about fountain pens, right? It's so customizable. You choose your nib, you choose your ink, your pen style, your finish, and I mean, it's very unique to you. And you're probably not going to see anybody else that has one in a meeting. And if I did see somebody that had another Pilot Vanishing Point, I would immediately know you are probably a friend. So let's give it a try. And so I haven't used this pen today. I haven't done a lot of writing today. I had a couple of medical things today. So let's try this out and let's just see how it goes. So you can see immediately it wrote, and I haven't used this pen. I don't know that I used this pen. I did use this pen yesterday, but I haven't used it in probably a good you know, 15, 16 hours. So Pilot Vanishing Point F nib. Now, when I think about the F nib, it's definitely fine, right? You can see that. There is some feedback. There is an element of scratchiness to it. I know these are really technical terms. Whoa, what's happening there? Scratchiness. There's, you know, it writes really well. You can see that there's no skipping or hard starts. But there is definitely feedback when you're writing with any kind of a fine nib, I find, or, you know, a narrower nib. There just is. There is going to be that scratch to it. Some people like that. Some people don't. I can go either way. Lately, I've liked larger nibs just because I want to see the properties of the ink that I'm using. This is Sailor Gentle Ultramarine. I actually ordered a bottle of it from Pen Chalet. No, this is not sponsored or anything. I bought this with my own money. I do have a Pen Chalet coupon code. It's Pen Pixie, and it still worked. They had sent me a product for review a long time ago, and I tried my coupon code and it worked. So it could work for you if you're interested. Sailor re-released these inks, and I had a sample of it that I really loved, and so as soon as I saw this, I immediately jumped on it to get it. So I have that ink in this pen, and so I wanted to show you what that looks like, because then we're going to compare with the medium. So all I'm going to do, pop this out. I'm going to fill this before I put it in my pen. So the one thing with these vanishing points is when you fill them, they have the converter, and so all you're going to do, I think you can see this, there's some little metal ball bearing things in there. I think they're called ball bearings, little metal balls. They kind of keep the ink mixed around, and I think that's nice if you're going to use an ink that has like shimmer in it, so you can kind of keep that swirled in there together. But you can see all I do is just turn it down, pull it up, and it's going to draw some ink up in there for me. You have to dip the nib all the way down beyond the feeder hole, which is right there. So you can see that's a substantial, you know, that's a substantial distance. It's probably close to an inch. Let's find out. Yeah, it's about 7. What are we looking at there? About 7/8 of an inch. So it's a good distance, right? So let's fill it up. Whoa. So I'm going to dip all the way in, and I can see, I'm going to try to show you. How am I going to do that? Because when I filled it before, I think I had it kind of tilted. I'm scared to do this. That's not a good idea. Okay, so I'm just going to do this, like, try to do this one-handed with the camera in the middle. So, that is not... How did I do that before? Am I even going to get some ink if I do this? Let's try and see. No, because it's not even in the feeder hole. Okay, let's see. Where am I? There I am. Okay. So I'm going to try to do this one-handed. Let's check on my manual dexterity. Well, why struggle going down? We're going to struggle just coming up. Okay. So I'm going to be turning that way, and I want it like this. Now I'm wondering, like, how the heck did I get it in my other pen, in my other nib? Okay, is there some ink in there? There is. Oh, I just can't see it. Okay. So let me clean this up. It shouldn't have been that dramatic. But it was. Okay. Put that to the side. And there is ink in there. You can see I just turned it upside down, so that does have ink in it. All I'm going to do, slide it back in. twist this back on, and my medium nib is ready to go. Let's just kind of look at a visual of them side by side. So they pretty much look the same. There's a lot, I can visually see more tipping on the medium nib, but other than that, they look pretty similar, as they should, right? So let's see how it writes. Never been inked up before. Ooh. So there is a very big difference between the M and the F nib. You can immediately see it right there. And so that's, there is a place for fine nibs, because not every, you don't want huge writing everywhere, right? But there is also a place for a larger nib. And while both, write, this one definitely shows the color of the ink more. If this ink had like a sheen or a glitter or whatever to it, the larger nib is going to show that off more. So this is an 18 karat gold nib. So as I'm writing, comparing it to the other, there is hardly any feedback. There is a little bit, but there is no scratchiness at all. So why can't I spell that word today? It's probably not a word. Scratchiness is non-existent. Whoa, that was wrong. I'm just gonna, here, is not there. I'm pretty sure I spelled existent wrong, and I crossed my I instead of my X. It's been a day. It's very smooth. It's bold, for sure. It definitely has a bold, wet line. The ink flow is, it's got a consistent ink flow, for sure. No skipping. No hard starts. It's not quite, I wouldn't say it glides across the paper. So it's not a gliding nib, at least this one isn't. You can still feel it. There is that little bit of feedback, not scratchiness, but some nibs it just kind of glides. It's very glassy and smooth. I don't feel that with this one. There is an element of feedback, but it's still a very nice writing experience. What am I feeling in here? It could just be me that I'm not feeling anything. That little converter wasn't quite shoved in there, which is interesting. So with the converter, and now I can't do this because I have it full of ink. I could make my life really difficult. Maybe I should try. And I think I did not mention this. I don't know how full these are, but you can actually, if I'm remembering now why, I'm pretty sure you can, yeah, because that one was kind of sticking out. I could feel it kind of loose in there. You could pull this plastic piece out and you can fill it with ink that way as well, like with the syringe, if I'm remembering, but now I'm kind of afraid because I have too full. Well, I could always just put that's going to get really messy. I'm pretty sure you can do that. I should know this though, but I normally fill it by dipping it, because then it's immediately ready to write. You don't have to let the ink kind of flow down through the nib. It's ready to go. And so if you're filling in a pen, you want to use it. You don't want to wait. So it's still a nice writing experience. I would say that, I'm sorry, I'm now, it has a nice, consistent line width. That's what I was feeling in the pen. I'm like, why does this feel weird to me as I'm writing? I could feel that loose converter. A consistent line width, but let's see if it has some variation, because it is an 18 karat gold nib. I don't want to push too hard because it is an 18 karat gold nib. It wasn't cheap, but if I push, not even really that hard, you can definitely get a different width line. So you can get a much thicker line if you want. If I barely touch the page, you can get something like that. So I mean, this is definitely, you know, no pressure required. And in fact, and this makes sense, the less pressure, the more glide. I tend to put a little bit of pressure on the nib, and so I'm feeling that feedback, but less pressure, more glide. This obviously clearly makes sense. This is, you know. As far as fast and keeping up, you can see that it completely keeps up. Very consistent ink flow, barely putting any pressure on the nib, and the ink is just coming right out. Side to side, we can see there's no skipping. Any skipping there is because I'm not giving good solid, you know, I'm not writing over the... Can I form more words today? I guess I can't. I wasn't doing a very good job of going back and forth consistently. But yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I expected. Oops. From Pilot, which is a beautiful writing experience. This is ARC notebook paper, by the way. So, yeah, this is a great nib. I'm trying to do, I see some of those people doing like fancy things, but I don't really know. So, this is a great nib for showing off the ink properties and colors, which I find I'm kind of into now. And I wonder if it's because I've got to the point where I have some really nice pens now, and I don't want for a whole lot of pens. And so now I'm looking at inks. But, you know, I think that the nib makes a difference too, right? So I'm kind of looking at bolder nibs and things like that. But I don't know. I think in getting this pen, some things in my mind changed about buying fountain pens. You know, when I first started off, I didn't want to spend more than like $30 or $40. To me, that was a lot for a pen. And I think it still is a lot for a pen, but not necessarily for a fountain pen. And so I feel like, you know, getting into the fountain pen area, I had always been into pens and that kind of thing, but I tried a lot of low-end things, and there are some good low-end pens out there. I have lots of videos on them. But I think that if, you know, like one of the things I think about with my husband, who has recently gotten into fountain pens, he's been able to use some of these nicer pens. And so instead of getting him something low end, we got him some really nice pens to begin with. And I wonder if I had been able to try some nicer high-end fountain pens when I first started, if I would have been more interested in just getting a few rather than getting, you know, this large collection, and then maybe investing in some different nib sizes and inks so that I could, you know, use those in my pens. This is something I've been thinking about, because once he got me this pen, which is something that I've been, you know, dreaming about for years, I think I even said in a video, I was like, yeah, I don't really pen shop anymore. And that surprises me. It doesn't mean I'm not buying any more pens. I just bought a TWSBI that is, you know, a really nice pen too. But it's just kind of changing, I guess. I see, new cheaper fountain pens that come out, and I don't really have a desire to buy them or try them, just because I know I've got some solid, writers that I really love in my collection. So just something to think about. I'm just kind of now pen musing and babbling on. But to show you the difference between a fine and a medium vanishing point nib, there it is. There is definitely a difference, but both are really nice. I think it just depends on what you're going to be writing and what you're going to be writing on. Clearly this is a lot juicier. So this might be a little more practical for day to day, but both are very nice. And so, you invest one time in the pen that you like, the look that you like, and then you can just buy the nib units and you can have, a different experience with the same pen. So I hope that you found this helpful or interesting or useful. If you have any questions, please leave them below, and I will see you later. Bye.